Hello, here I am to bring you a very special episode of HTV. Today, we are talking about the immortal classic, your dad's favorite TV show, Walker, Texas Ranger. Specifically, of course, we are talking about the Halloween episode titled Children of Halloween, aka that time Chuck Norris pwned the devil. If you don't know Walker, Texas Ranger, he's basically, obviously he's a Texas Ranger, and he's like a paladin of God type, just like a humble, wise old soul who can beat up anything that's thrown at him in the name of justice. He's of course played by Chuck Norris, who, used to be a household name. I kind of feel like an old man. At one time, he used to be quite the meme. He had a whole subgenre of jokes built around him. He also sold the Total Gym, the most versatile home workout system on the market.
Works on all the muscles. You name it. Chest, arms, tries, buys, shoulders. And at the same time, it's working the gut. And also,
he also made some karate movies. And of course, in '93, he starred in Walker, Texas Ranger, a show that brought us a great theme song. 'Cause the eyes of the Ranger are upon you. Just hearing it takes me back to Sunday afternoons when nothing else was on TV, if you know what I'm saying. And the show got one Halloween episode. This one. And I gotta say, right off the bat, it seems like they're doing a pretty good job. It opens on a pumpkin, which is always important. Can't stress that enough. They even went the extra mile to use spooky font for the credits. This was in the apex of the Roseanne Simpson's Home Improvement battle for Halloween episode supremacy. So maybe they felt like they needed to step it up, but either way, it is appreciated. Quick aside, I'd actually like to use this font. So if you're like a font nerd and you know what it's called, let me know, because I can't find it. Another quick aside, Bob Gookin. What a name. Anyway, it opens on Walker talking to his partner James about the subtle nuances of costume selection and the importance of creating your own, as opposed to buying a mass-produced one.
Anybody can walk into a store and buy a costume. The genius of Halloween is when you create, when you make your costume.
When they get interrupted by a call over the radio about a robbery in progress, which happens to be a group of guys in gorilla masks, firing Uzis everywhere. And this is a good introduction to the show as a whole, I feel like. It has everything the show has to offer in one compact package. You get a sweet car chase scene, which by the way, even after going through a high-speed chase, a hailstorm of bullets, hitting the robber's truck, and even being used to beat up bad guys, Walker's Dodge Ram 1500 doesn't have a spot on it after all of that.
When you're talking about the new Dodge Ram pickup, you're not talking about driving just another truck.
It also has a nice little fight scene and some Chuck Norris badassery, complete with that triumphant hero music. And it's all wrapped up with a little bit of that Texas Ranger razor sharp wit.
Charge him with armed robbery, reckless endangerment, resisting arrest.
how about impersonating a more intelligent species?
I love how James acts. He's basically like, ay caramba. Meanwhile, we jump forward a little bit to Halloween night, a cemetery, spooky sounds, and crash zooms. We see a shadowy figure looming over some kids in a crypt and all kinds of satanic stuff going on. And then boom, cue the theme song. Then we cut back to 1 week earlier in the middle of an intense yet whimsical local karate match.
That's it, Tyson. Good. Get that leg up.
This all goes on for just a little bit too long, and we get some exposition about how this kid Joey was having some troubles at school, and now that he's taking karate lessons, he's getting back on track.
You know, we really do want to thank you, Mr. Malloy. We were both a little concerned. He was heading in the wrong direction.
This kind of like wholesome melodrama is all over the show, and I'll mostly be brushing over it, honestly, because it's kind of the least entertaining aspect of the show, aside from its inherent like cheesiness. So just know that I'm mainly going to be focusing on the juicy stuff, like Joey getting kidnapped by some major edgelords after getting pizza with his friends. And when I say edgelords, I mean these guys are serious. They shop exclusively at Hot Topic. This girl obviously idolizes Trash from Return of the Living Dead, and the guy is like an emo Candyman, complete with deep, raspy voice.
Relax. He's up. Get the van.
So yeah, they kidnap Joey and they take him back to the crypt we saw before, and he starts glowing with evil, satanic red energy. And back at the station, Walker is trying to trick poor James into making a fool of himself at the upcoming Halloween costume contest.
Why don't you go to the costume party wearing those heart-shaped shorts like Danny did, flapping your arms like a chicken?
I don't think that's a good idea.
I'll just say this comes off as kind of wrong on Walker's part. It's obvious that James is a very simple man, and Walker is really fucking with his head.
I know you. I know what you're doing.
What?
But yeah, the convo is cut short when they learn about Joey going missing, and now it's up to him and his traditionally attractive band of crime fighters to start Scooby-Dooing the mystery when he and James stumble upon a pentagram spray painted at the crime scene. And so they do what any sane person would do when you run into a spray painted pentagram.
Call the FBI.
Then we meet this girl. This is some more of that melodrama I was talking about that I'm gonna gloss over. But just know she's like a recovering klepto. And this chick, who is Walker's friend, I actually don't know the dynamic of their characters in the show. I just get a sense from like vague memory and just the way these shows work that she's probably like the unrequited love interest for Walker. And there's always this like, will they, won't they thing going on. But anyway, Klepto Girl is like, nobody trusts me. And Walker's friend is like, oh no, I trust you. That's like basically their story. And that'll come into play later, kinda.
Underneath all that bad attitude, there really is a sweet kid. Maybe we should cut her open and see.
We see emo Candyman collecting more children and showing off his like evil powers. Throughout the show, it is heavily implied that he does actually have satanic powers, which makes one of the details later really funny. The other option is that it might be like the perspective of Joey. You know, he just got kidnapped by this scary dude who wears black, and maybe in his trauma, he's seeing this guy like a monster or something. But also, we see this guy like glowing with red energy and phasing around and disappearing and shit. So I don't know, man. And for a little while, we're kind of like just waffling back and forth between all of these things, getting some of the girls' wholesome lessons on trust and honesty, seeing emo Candyman killing people and Walker and the gang harassing anybody with a past record that might be construed as satanic.
I was 17 years old. Okay, look. Me and some friends got drunk on peach schnapps, and we knocked over a few headstones.
Stuff like that. Joey being brave. That's another thing they show a lot. More kids being kidnapped. But then there's a break in the case. Walker and James stop by a local magic shop to find the mysterious origins of this strange symbol that was left at the crime scene.
Oh my God. Do you guys have any idea what this symbol represents?
That's why we're here.
And the shop owner, who, by the way, is very spicy.
Wow. Hello, handsome.
And is basically throwing herself at Walker. Naturally. I mean, who wouldn't? He's fucking Chuck Norris.
Be careful what you ask for. You might just get it.
And after getting accosted by punk rock Nick Cage,
This guy look like Nicolas Cage to you?
Yeah, a little bit.
and his gang of dystopian wasteland goons, she reveals that they might be looking for Emo Candyman, who actually calls himself Lucifer, and that he was there not long ago to pick up an ancient tome of forbidden knowledge. So after some more sexual tension with this shop owner and Walker,
You come on back now, you hear?
they go to check out his house. They almost get blown to bits. Honestly, the timing of this leap out the window, there's no way they didn't at least get some shrapnel. I honestly think they'd probably be dead. But yeah, anyway, they're eventually led to a strip club where Fake Trash used to work. And after saving a stripper by beating up some bad guys, she tells them that Trash met Lucifer, started referring to herself as Belial, and then disappeared. And how Lucifer thinks he's the son of the devil. So apparently they started squatting in this crypt, decked it out in the finest spooky decor Party City had to offer, got the robes, went all out. I mean, Emo Candyman paid no less than $35 for this edgy vampire dagger at his local dirt mall. And since then, I guess they've been collecting kids in preparation for a sacrifice for power on Halloween night. And now, out of nowhere, the stakes are higher than ever. Because after a dumb argument about, the klepto stuff or whatever, the girl and Walker's friend are nabbed by Emo Candyman and Fake Trash. And so after consulting the ancient texts, Walker knows it's in a cemetery. They know from the stripper that it's near a farmhouse. And the search begins. The clock is ticking. They start narrowing down potential locations. And of course, just in the nick of time, they stumble across Emo Candyman's lair and immediately start destroying cultists. At one point, Walker breaks one of their necks, I'm pretty sure. And luckily, these cultists studied in the art of taking turns. So Walker disposes of them pretty easily, one by one, while the rest kind of circle him, twirling their torches and shit. He finally makes his way to the final boss, Lucifer, son of the devil. And after giving him a chance to redeem his evil ways,
Drop the knife.
he ends the whole thing with a sweet roundhouse kick to the face. Emo Candyman falls on his own edgy vampire dagger and dies like a really long, drawn-out, dramatic death. Fake Trash presumably gets hauled off to jail, and all is well. Klepto Girl starts taking karate and is taken under Joey's wing. Assuredly, exactly what she needs to get back on the right track, much as Joey did. And the team meet up at the watering hole to celebrate their triumph over evil. The magic shop lady is there, naturally drooling over Walker. He, of course, turns her down though because he is so noble and true. And then his friend comes over to give him a hard time. And we cut the credits knowing that the streets are safe once again. Walker Texas Ranger is one of those shows I got exposed to a lot just through sheer boredom. Like I said earlier, this was like a staple of boring Sunday afternoons before cool stuff like The Simpsons came on. You'd either be watching infomercials, religious programming, maybe like a movie like Still Magnolias or something like that, or you were watching one of these like syndicated shows, usually all aimed at your parents. But this one got a lot of play for me at the time, I remember, probably just because it was Chuck Norris. Like, you know, I watched like Return of the Dragon, Missing in Action, Sidekicks, stuff like that. So I naturally gravitated towards it when it was on. The show is basically like if a Canon film had a baby with a after-school special. Like this would be their child. It's cliche and corny as hell, but I would say in a good way. And this episode is dealing with Satanism, which is always funny when told through that like 90s lens. Like in hindsight, this cult is pretty hilarious. Like you just know when they're not doing this, they're like at home listening to The Cure, probably playing D&D or something. Emo Candyman probably picked up fake trash at like a Walden Books, flexing his Anarchy Cookbook knowledge to her. But they're being portrayed as just like what your average child sacrificing Satanist looks like, when I imagine they actually look a lot different. And like for this guy to be a legitimate final boss for Chuck Norris to kick in the face is pretty great. I'll be honest with you, I was gonna give this a conservative like 3 stars, but the more I talk about it, the more I realize it is a 4-star banger. This is like a classic example of 90s television. Now, for a Halloween rate, I mean, this episode kind of has it all. It's hitting all the marks I usually dwell on. It opens on a pumpkin, like I said before. Its plot pretty much revolves completely around Halloween. It's a little bit indirectly, but like, yeah, the ritual requires Halloween night to take place. And also they do a good job filling in the gaps with this like Walker and James costume contest subplot. And between scenes, they're showing all of these like spooky satanic images and stuff. Not to mention the best Halloween episodes, in my opinion, are ones that suspend the rules of the universe you're in temporarily for the sake of like self-contained Halloween fun. And I think this one does that. I don't think Walker, Texas Ranger is a show rooted in supernatural shit, but you get Emo Candyman phasing around. When he dies, there's this like magic sound effect as if a demonic spirit is leaving his body. Like I said, it is vague and up to interpretation, but it's close enough that I think this is like a good self-contained spooky episode. And aside from that, it's got the decor all through the show. And as I mentioned earlier, it went the extra mile of using spooky font. It's a real nice touch. Nobody would have noticed if they hadn't, but they did anyway. And I appreciate that. So yeah, 4 Roseannes all day for this one. Very well deserved in my opinion, and I recommend it. And yeah, that's the show. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time.
The eyes of the ranger are upon you. Any wrong you do, he's gonna see.